Today, we're diving deep into one of the hottest topics in the Marvel Universe right now, Daredevil, Born Again. You know, this show has had its ups and downs, and I want to chat with you about every little detail, every twist, every suspenseful moment. I know many of you are excited and, at the same time, a bit confused about what's happening with so many storylines in this season. So, let's start unraveling this tangled web together. Let me begin by saying that Daredevil, Born Again has been a bold show ever since it premiered on Disney. The way it resets the board right after Foggy's death has truly shaken things up. For those of you who might have been watching from the start, you know how much we all loved Foggy. His character was more than just a friend to Matt, he was a symbol of loyalty, hope, and that gritty compassion we expect from this universe. And now that he is gone, the stakes are higher than ever for Matt. The death of Foggy has left a void that not only affects Matt's life but the overall tone of the series, and you can feel the tension in every single scene. When we look at Matt's story now, we see him trying to pick up the pieces of his shattered life while also dealing with the massive challenges of being a vigilante in a world that just got a lot darker. And then there's Fisk, played by the incredible Vincent D'Onofrio. His character adds another layer of intensity as he seems to be pulling the strings behind the scenes. In our recent episode, Isle of Joy, we noticed that the narrative was stretched in so many directions that some storylines didn't get the focus they truly deserved. You might have felt that too, a mix of exhilaration and frustration, a roller coaster of emotions that leaves you both wanting more and questioning the choices made along the way. I know many of you have felt this mix of emotions, and that's exactly what today's discussion is going to be about. We're going to break down how the show is juggling so many plots, and whether or not the juggling act is working or starting to fall apart. I promise you, by the end of this video, you'll have a clear picture of what's going on, and maybe even a fresh perspective on the show that you hadn't considered before. Let's talk about the way the show has managed to bring itself into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's impressive how it manages to blend some of the more adult themes that we loved in the Netflix version of Daredevil, while also trying to fit into the bigger picture of the MCU. But this blending is not without its challenges. With Foggy's death acting as a reset for Matt, the show had to hurry things along, and in doing so, it seems as if too many narrative threads started to pull away from one another. You see, with only 9 episodes in the season, there was limited time to explore each subplot in full detail. Let's break it down a little more. The writers had to deal with at least 7 storylines during this season, and that meant some important plots did not get the space they needed to breathe and develop. One of the main issues we're seeing right now is with the relationship between Matt and Fisk. These two characters have always been at odds, and their conflict is a major emotional anchor for the show. Instead of allowing us to see their deep, complicated interactions, we have been given only one significant scene between them, and even then, it feels rushed. We should have seen more of their ideological clash and the internal turmoil that Matt goes through as a result of trying to balance his sense of justice with the harsh realities of his world. And then there's Heather, played by Margarita Laviva. Her connection with Matt is meant to be a central part of Matt's emotional journey. Her role should be his rock, his anchor in a world that is spiraling out of control. But in the current arc, their relationship has only started to be explored in a deeper way, and we feel that it should have been given more time to develop. You might remember that earlier in the season we got a quick glimpse of how their bond could be a true turning point for Matt, but now, with so many competing plots, that glimpse gets lost in the chaos. Now, let's shift our focus a bit and talk about Muse, played by Hunter Duan. For those unfamiliar, Muse was introduced to provide a perspective on the ethics of vigilantism. His character, in many ways, serves as a counterpoint to what Daredevil stands for. It was exciting to see an argument unfolding that challenged Matt's methods and beliefs. However, what really stings is the fact that Muse's subplot was cut short. In just the second significant sequence with him, Heather kills Muse, sparking more chaos than closure. Instead of giving us time to understand Muse's motivations and what he might have meant for the overall story, his fate was rushed, and it only served to kickstart a new direction rather than tie his journey neatly into the narrative. I want to stress here that while the show has delivered some very powerful moments, these rushed moments and ignored subplots have led to key parts of the storyline feeling shallow and unfinished. When we see climactic beats being rushed, it affects our emotional connection to the story. Take, for example, the reintroduction of Bullseye, played by Wilson Bethel, and his subsequent actions. His escape, the assassination attempt at the end of the episode, and the stunning reveal that Vanessa, played by Ayelet Zurer, ordered Foggy's murder, all come at a time when we were not properly prepared to handle so much narrative at once. We all remember that previous episode where Heather and Matt said they loved each other. It felt like a huge leap in their relationship. Now, in this episode, The same issue rears its head again, leaving many viewers wondering if these emotional beats are truly earned or if they are just being dropped for shock value. The timing of Matt taking a bullet for Fisk during Bullseye's attack is particularly puzzling. If the build-up to this moment had been handled with more care, we would have understood Matt's motives more clearly. Instead, we are left scratching our heads, trying to piece together a puzzle that seems to be missing several critical pieces. I know many of you have been shouting in the comments about how these rushed sequences just don't sit right with the way the story was set up in previous episodes. This is what makes our community so special. We are all here to share our thoughts, our theories, and sometimes even our frustrations about a show we love. And that's what today's discussion is really about. It's about examining every twist and turn and figuring out what might have been the best way to tell this story. Another important aspect to discuss is the role of supporting characters. These characters, like Cherry and Kirsten from Matt's office subplot, or Buck and Sheila associated with Fisk, seem to come and go without much development. Every time Kirsten is on screen, she talks about her dislike for secrets and her desire for honesty, yet her storyline just seems to vanish into thin air as soon as it starts to get interesting. And Cherry, who has been there trying to help Matt rid himself of the dangerous Daredevil life, often gets sidelined. He barely holds Matt accountable for his actions, and his repeated warnings fall on deaf ears. This lack of focus on supporting characters is a reflection of the show's overambitious attempt to juggle too many stories. When you try to manage so many themes and relationships in one season, inevitably, some elements get shortchanged. We need more emotional weight from these supporting roles. They are the unsung heroes who could have added so much depth to the narrative. If only we saw more of their struggles, more of the hard choices they had to make, then our understanding of Matt's world would be enriched even further. I want you to take a moment here and visualize this with me. Imagine watching a puzzle being assembled where every piece is critical to the complete picture. Now imagine that some of those pieces are missing, and you are left with a nearly complete image that still lacks clarity. That is how it feels watching Daredevil, Born Again at this point. You can see the complete picture in flashes, but then you're left wondering what exactly the creator had in mind for each subplot and each character. While there are plenty of reasons to be critical, I also want to acknowledge the work that went into making this show. The production design, the gritty, dark visuals, and the way each scene is shot is nothing short of spectacular. There are moments when you can't help but be drawn into the emotional core of the show, even if you know that some of the narrative decisions might not have been the best. This is what makes Daredevil, Born Again so relatable. It mirrors our own experiences of trying to balance multiple parts of our lives, sometimes with mixed results. At this point, I'd like to ask you, my amazing community, to share your thoughts. How do you feel about the way the narrative is handling multiple storylines? Do you think that the rushed moments have lessened the impact of the key emotional beats, or do you appreciate the boldness of taking such risks? Your opinions are what make this discussion so interesting, and I invite you to share them in the comments below. Every comment, every thought, adds another layer to our collective understanding of the show. Now, before we go any further, I want to talk about the role of personal connection in this analysis. When I first started watching Daredevil, Born Again, I was immediately drawn in by its emotional impact. It's not just a story about a superhero, it's a story about a man wrestling with loss, with betrayal, and with the consequences of his own choices. That is something every one of us can relate to. Whether you're dealing with loss in your own life or trying to figure out the right path when faced with immense challenges, Matt's journey can feel very personal and deeply emotional. This is why the story arc of Daredevil, Born Again is so important. The narrative has a clear beginning, a middle, and what we hope will be a satisfying end. There is a promise of growth, of reconciliation, and ultimately, of new beginnings even after moments of deep despair. But right now, that promise seems to be overshadowed by the overload of subplots. It makes us wonder, can the writers pull together all these threads in a way that honors every character's journey, or will we continue to see cracks in the story's structure? What excites me is the potential that lies ahead in episode 9. As we move closer to the season finale, it feels like the various subplots are starting to converge. Fisk and Vanessa are increasing their grip on power, Matt is facing the consequences of his choices more directly, Heather seems to be stepping into a stronger role, and BB's dangerous investigation into Fisk's secrets is heating up. It's like watching a storm gather, each element building up to a climax that is both thrilling and heavy with emotional weight. I want to emphasize that while there are several storylines that have been given less attention, this season still has a lot to offer. The tension between Matt and his own sense of duty, the moral dilemmas posed by the idea of vigilantism, and the dark undercurrents of betrayal and redemption are all there. And let's not forget, this is a show that has always aimed to make us feel something profound. It's not just about the flashy fights or the dramatic plot twists, it's about the human struggle, the internal battles that we all face. And in that sense, Daredevil, Born Again does a fantastic job of connecting with us on a deeply emotional level. Now, I know some of you might be wondering about the creative challenges behind a show like this. Producing a series that fits into the grand Marvel narrative while still carrying the weight of a complex, standalone story is no small feat. It reminds me of times in my own life when I tried to balance too many projects at once, and inevitably, some things suffered because of that overload. It is a delicate balance, and sometimes even the best teams can have a hard time giving every detail the love and attention it deserves. At this point, I encourage you all to take a deep breath and appreciate the effort that goes into such a bold experiment. Yes, some storylines may feel rushed, yes, some characters have been neglected, but there is still undeniable passion in every scene, and that passion is what keeps us coming back for more. The flaws in the structure are a reminder that even in our greatest struggles, there is beauty to be found in the chaos. It makes us realize that life isn't always perfectly arranged, and sometimes, the most impactful moments come from the imperfections and the unexpected detours. Let's talk about what this means for the larger narrative of the show. The central story of Daredevil, Born Again is, at its heart, about identity, loss, and the pursuit of justice. Matt is constantly battling the legacy of his past and the allure of a life that is simultaneously defined and confined by his experiences. This internal conflict is what drives the story forward, and even the rushed moments contribute to this larger theme. When we see Matt struggle with his decisions, question his own motives, and sometimes even betray his own ethics, we are watching a man who is very much like any of us, fighting to find his place in a complicated world. And here's where I want to make a personal connection. I believe that every one of us faces moments in life where we feel overwhelmed by the choices in front of us. We try to juggle responsibilities, relationships, and our own personal goals, only to find that sometimes, things fall through the cracks. Daredevil's journey mirrors this struggle. His life is a series of battles, not only against his external enemies but also within himself. And that is something deeply moving and relatable. When the show makes us question whether the rushed sequences or ignored subplots are worth the sacrifice, it is really asking us to think about the cost of our own battles. This is a call to action for all of us, not just as fans of Daredevil, but as individuals striving to make sense of a complex world. I urge you to look closely at the imperfections, to appreciate the raw emotions, and to celebrate the moments when everything finally clicks into place. Share this video with your friends, comment below with your thoughts, and let's continue this conversation about the struggles and triumphs of chasing our own paths. Before I wrap up, let's take a moment to consider the future. There is a possibility that all these issues, these cracks in the narrative structure, might be resolved in the final episode. If the showrunners can converge the multiple storylines into a cohesive ending, then all of this tension will have been for nothing but a brilliant build-up. Imagine the payoff when we finally see Matt, Fisk, Heather, and even the supporting characters like BB, Kirsten, and Cherry get the closure they deserve. That payoff would not only satisfy our hunger for a complete story but also reinforce the themes of redemption, identity, and the strength that comes from facing one's own flaws. I can almost feel the anticipation building up right now, and I know many of you are on the edge of your seats. Just like in Daredevil's world, we are reminded that the journey is just as important as the destination. The twists and turns, the moments of despair and joy, and even the brief flashes of hope all contribute to a story that is rich, emotional, and deeply personal. I also want to highlight that this discussion isn't just about the series, it's about how storytelling in today's world often feels overloaded. We live in an era where information comes at us fast, and sometimes, important details get lost in the rush. It's easy to feel disconnected when too many voices are vying for our attention. But in the heart of Daredevil, Born Again, we see the struggle to hold on to what truly matters, a struggle that is echoed in our own lives every day. So, where do we go from here? What can we take away from this analysis of Daredevil, Born Again? First, let's remember that every great story has its flaws and its missed beats. Sometimes, the beauty lies in the imperfection. It's a reminder that life itself is unpredictable, and we must learn to appreciate both the successes and the setbacks. Secondly, let's celebrate the moments of brilliance, the powerful scenes, the raw emotion, and the deep character struggles. These are the moments that resonate with us long after the screen goes dark. Now, I'd like to ask you again, what did you think of the juggling of these storylines? Do you agree that some of the key moments were rushed or ignored? Or do you see it as a necessary part of keeping the story moving forward in a modern, fast-paced world? Your voices are what create this amazing community, and I want to hear every thought and feeling you have about this show. Drop your comments below and let's start a conversation that dives into what it means to tell a complex, multi-layered story. Before we finish, I want to remind you all that our community is built on sharing our love for shows like Daredevil, Born Again and the ideas they represent. We stand together, ready to dive into discussions about character development, plot twists, and the challenges of being human in a world full of conflict. Your engagement matters, your likes, your shares, your comments all contribute to making this space a vibrant and supportive place for everyone who believes in the power of storytelling. I also encourage you to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We're building something special here, a community of fans who are not only passionate about what they watch but who also understand that every story, no matter how flawed, has the power to change our perspectives and touch our hearts. Hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and join the conversation as we explore more stories, more characters, and more journeys together. To wrap things up, let me leave you with one final thought. Daredevil's story, with all its twists and turns, is a reflection of the real-life struggles we all face. Sometimes, the weight of too many choices and too many competing voices can leave us overwhelmed, just as it has for our favorite characters. But in the end, it is our ability to push through these challenges, to find beauty in the chaos, and to connect with those around us that defines us. That is what truly makes a story great, and that is what makes our community so incredible. Thank you for spending this time with me and for being a part of this journey. I'm excited to see how the rest of the season unfolds and to discuss every detail with all of you. Until next time, keep questioning, keep exploring, and always remember every challenge is a chance to grow stronger. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video. So, what are your thoughts? Do you feel that Daredevil, Born Again has been juggling too many storylines? Do you think the rushed moments have taken away from the emotional depth of the show? Let me know in the comments, and if you enjoyed this deep dive, please give the video a thumbs up and share it with your friends. I'm here to read every comment and join in the discussion, so don't be shy. I'll be back with another video soon, where we continue to explore and analyze the latest twists in our favorite Marvel series and beyond. Remember, this is a place where every opinion counts and every story matters. Thank you again for watching, for being a part of this community, and for sharing your passion for storytelling. Until next time, stay curious, stay kind, and keep watching. There's so much more to discuss about the layers in Daredevil's character, about how the show attempts to connect with us on an emotional level while also presenting us with the harsh reality of its world. Each scene, each line of dialogue, is filled with the potential to teach us something about resilience, about loss, and about the importance of fighting for what we believe in. And that is something we can all take with us. Whether you're inspired by Daredevil's fight or moved by the personal sacrifices his journey entails, you are not alone in feeling that way. Before I say goodbye, think about this: every complex story has moments where everything seems to rush by, where important details are lost in the blur. But those are the moments that challenge us to pay closer attention, to connect the dots, and to appreciate every single piece of the narrative puzzle. It's a reminder that life itself is full of rushed moments and unexpected turns, and that sometimes, the journey is just as important as the destination. And that's a lesson Daredevil, Born Again, in all its complexity, gives us. I want to hear from you what moments in the show have resonated with you the most. What do you think needs more time to fully develop in the coming episodes? Share your thoughts, your theories, and even your disappointments. Every comment is a part of this big conversation, and every idea helps us see the bigger picture together. Your feedback is what makes this community feel like a place where every fan's voice is heard, and that is a truly powerful thing. Let's remember that while the show might have too many storylines, each one carries an emotional weight that is meant to push us to reflect on our own lives. Whether it's the bond between friends, the conflict of choices, or the unforeseen twists of fate, there is an underlying message that ties it all together. And that message is simple: even when life feels overwhelming, every challenge brings with it the chance for growth, transformation, and ultimately, a new beginning. Thank you for joining me today as we broke down every layer of Daredevil, Born Again. I hope this discussion has given you a clearer picture of the show's strengths, its flaws, and the exciting potential that lies ahead. Remember to hit that like button if you enjoyed our conversation, subscribe if you haven't yet, and share this video with anyone who loves a good deep dive into their favorite shows. I truly appreciate every single one of you for being a part of this journey. Stay tuned for more videos that explore the heart and soul behind the biggest names in entertainment. Until then, keep fighting your own battles, keep looking for the beauty in imperfection, and never stop believing in the power of a great story. This has been a heartfelt conversation about a series that not only entertains but also touches on the raw edges of being human. We're all in this together, and I'm so grateful for your support and enthusiasm. Don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments below. What do you love about Daredevil, and what do you wish could be done differently? I read every comment, and your insights help shape our community into a place where we can all learn and grow together. I hope you have an amazing day, and I can't wait to continue this conversation in our next video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all soon. Stay safe, be bold, and remember, every setback is a step towards greatness. That's it for today's video, guys. Thanks so much for sticking around until the end. If you love this video and want more content like this, don't hesitate to hit subscribe and ring that bell for notifications. Until next time, take care and keep pushing forward, no matter how many challenges come your way. I'm looking forward to reading all your reactions and discussing more theories in the comments. Let's keep this discussion lively and respectful, just like our community always has. Goodbye for now and see you in the next one.